Hello, welcome to Sagittarius. Today on Planet Watch, we're going to be talking about eclipses and full moons and Sagittarius. Oh my. Hi, Mary Jane. Good to see you.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be
So,
back with you.
we're coming up on Sagittarius.
Yes, we are. We're recording here on the 16th, but the sun will be going into Sagittarius then in US time on the evening of the 21st of November. And we're off and running. It's a very strange sky. Let's talk a minute about Sagittarius, which is already a pretty strange
Mhm.
sign, actually. It's a mutable sign in fire, that is to say, a double sign. The mutable signs are kind of an excitable but not steady energy. And this is certainly true of the fire in Sagittarius. It goes off in all directions. It's kind of like a firework that that burns down really fast. So it's not a steady, dependable kind of an energy. Things get done in Sagittarius, but it takes a bit of staying power to see things through. And we're going to see that this is the case. Now, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the number one huge planet in our solar system and creates this notion in Sagittarius of being above and beyond and bigger than anything we can imagine. And there's always this notion of Sagittarius to push out the boundaries, to look toward the bigger plan. Sagittarius is also a place of abstract thinking. This is where philosophy and legislation and religions are born with this Sagittarian idealism that shows up throughout the sign and in the actions of planets as they're going through Sagittarius. So we're going to see all of that involved in this month. And certainly, again, coming back to this notion of mutable energy, it's going to be all in a seesaw kind of an effect that we'll be looking at as we go through this month. It's hectic. There are some light motifs, though, there are two at least basic ones that I want to point out before we even get started. The one has to do with planetary alignments with Neptune as well that are very gracious, very inviting, again, very idealistic. But Mercury, Venus, and Mars are both in excellent attitudes toward Neptune, and we're going to see friendships, we're going to see romances, we're going to see other very tight ties that are going to be binding through this month. It's a great time to fall in love.
Oh, good. You know, it's crazy.
We'll talk about the outside
We'll talk
outset, but
about that too. I just wanted to interject with a question. You had talked
yeah,
about Jupiter being such an influence on Sagittarius, and Jupiter, of course, being our biggest Planet. This may be a dumb question, but if I have it, I'm sure other people do too. Jupiter is not truly a planet; it's a gas giant. It's not necessarily a solid planet, or maybe it is in there somewhere. But being mostly gas, does that make any difference along with Saturn?
it kind of goes with the Jupiterian notion of expansion, because as it
Sure.
isn't or has a very small solid core,
Right,
sort
right,
of
right.
under the surface. But again, this goes with I think it goes fairly well with this notion of expansion that seems limitless. Also, it's not terribly solid, as we pointed out, and this is true of the Sagittarian energy. It burns out quickly, and I think maybe this is the parallel that we have in mind with the Jupiter. Going to get rid
Yeah.
of this
Well, and you
energy.
talked about a leitmotif being just kind of a theme, perhaps something that seems and feels more impressive than it truly is at core.
Yes, rather, in that it's going to be as typically in Sagittarius and with Jupiter, it's going to be very subject to these different themes are going to be extremely subject to things going on around and colored by other movements that we're going to see as we look at these planets moving around this month. So it's hard. It's really hard to get a hold of what's supposed to be going on in this period of Sagittarius, but we'll try.
Yeah,
That's all.
we'll try. Yes. Okay, so it's a great time for falling in love. It's a great
It's a
time
great
for
time for falling in love. It's a great time for reaching out and creating new holds on family ties, new looking up old friends. It's a time to be binding again. There's a lot of that's going on with this lovely Venus Mars not conjunction. They're in lovely sextile, and both are acting very, very well with Neptune. Now the only problem there is that Neptune gives this notion of perfection, of idealism. We're going to be making illusory choices as well. You want to keep your feet on the ground with these new romances, these new friendships, and so on. Keep your feet on the ground. See what's really being offered. This is, I think, what we need to keep in mind. But we get off running already the 22nd of November. This is going to be important, a very important day as far as reaching out, making new discoveries among people.
right. Yes, yes,
It
yes.
looks it looks like a very good day, in fact, for that kind of thing. We run into trouble immediately on the 25th, the 26th, 27th. There, Neptune, this moon that I'm looking at, that's going to set off. In fact, the moon we know is a sort of a trigger. It sets off reactions. And as the moon leaves its a lovely tie with Neptune, it comes head on into Saturn, into Mars. It's going to make a square of Mars, square of Mercury. So all of these wonderful things that have been said and done are going to come against the wall, in fact, very soon afterwards. And this will be the reality check, in fact, to contacts that we've been making there already at the first of the month.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going like this all month. We'll get used to it. We'll be calm, but it isn't the easiest time to be deciding what we want, deciding what we want to do with people that we're meeting, what can be seriously done. I find it really interesting that we're coming out of the climate conference that was rather a fiasco, but we're coming into the period where all of these delegates go home and have to explain to the folks at home just what got done or what didn't get done, and finally see if there's a lawmaking process that they can pick up on this month and in the coming months, in the coming year, in fact. So it's sort of interesting that they're backing into this Sagittarian notion of, again, reaching out for an ideal, trying to find something that's going to be acceptable, workable, and at the same time, fix our goals in a sort of an ideal situation. Maybe
Right.
it was necessary.
Yeah, yeah, maybe it was necessary. So, given that we've just had this climate summit and they're going to have to come home and tell us like what we're going to do about this,
Yeah.
what does the atmosphere look for that? How does it seem to play out in the stars?
I count heavily again through the on the planet Jupiter that's in charge of this period of Sagittarius. And Jupiter is the lawmaker. Jupiter is the legislator. This is the magistrate. This is the lawyer. This is also the doctor. All of our fellows that are wearing robes half the time. Um, so Jupiter is in charge, and Jupiter has some very nice things going on. We've seen already last December when Jupiter came into the sign of Aquarius. He's involved with reform. He's heavily involved in changing things, moving things around again, getting off the ground with some new projects, new reform. So as we're living and he's acting through this sign of Aquarius, I think this is an ideal time to get these projects on paper finally and get something moving. So I'm in that sense rather hopeful for this, for what can be done finally, in a concrete manner with all the ideals that have been discussed for these last few weeks.
Right. Well, and here in the United States, we've just. I'm so sorry. I'm recording this from home, and my cat thinks that my laptop is something that he needs to rub up against. So, but here in the States, at least, we've just had this major infrastructure bill passed. And so,
There you
signed,
go.
if not today, the 16th, very soon, or maybe it was yesterday, the 15th. And so, yeah, it's going to be time in the next coming weeks to decide, okay, well, where is all of this money going to go? What projects are going to be worthy of doing
Precisely.
this?
Yeah.
Where do we put these resources that we've dedicated toward improving the country? Right. So it sounds like that would be a very timely thing to do as well.
Certainly, it's time for things to be built. It's time to, through Aquarius, this has a lot to do with engineering, with
Right.
research, scientific research, and so on. So certainly, this is an excellent time to get these things signed and starting to build on. In Europe, and I think other places, we're starting to see legislation touching on the COVID vaccination pass.
Oh,
Say that citizens who have been vaccinated have a COVID pass, what we're calling a COVID pass here in Europe, that allows them to go into restaurants, allows them to go into movie houses, theaters, all kinds of sporting events, and so on. And without this pass, there's no entry.
wow.
So, of course, this is again dividing the population.
Yeah.
I don't want to be vaccinated, and why don't they let me do what I want to do, and so on and so forth. But here in Switzerland, at least, on the 28th of November, this mandate is going to be voted upon. So it's going to enter into the legislation, and I think that's going to be an interesting call to some sort of reality finally, for a lot of people in both camps, in fact. So that's one of the legislation kind of movements that's going to be going on this month, very soon, in fact.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. That is really, really big. It's going to cause some big divides too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And all over Europe, we're seeing partial lockdowns again. Austria has just gone into partial confinement. Again, coming back to this notion of having your COVID paper proving that you've been vaccinated in order to enjoy any liberties. So it's coming to that. It's rather unfortunate,
Wow.
but it is coming to that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that is really big, and that is a big shift.
Yep.
So, Sagittarius. So that's kind of a Sagittarius in a nutshell, but we've got a couple of events coming up that I was hoping to get your insight on. One being the lunar eclipse on the 19th. As we record that, that's this Friday.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, 19th. Yeah, okay. We won't be into Sagittarius yet.
No, we're not in
Maybe,
Sagittarius yet. No, I should have
yeah,
prefaced with that.
I don't remember if we talked further about that last month. But in any case, the lunar eclipse is always a pretty interesting time. It's beautiful to see, first of all,
Right.
and it's one that's available to us uh, as a rule. We can usually see this lunar eclipse very, very well during the evening. It's a cleaning out time. It's a time when things, every new moon is a time for cleansing experience and something that's starting again. So this is a very exciting time, if only for that, in fact.
Right.
Um,
Well, that's still
Now,
pretty potent, just clearing and starting new things.
yes, in fact, it's actually a full moon effect. But this is when we arrive at some sort of apogee. We're going to see at the same time that we enter into a waning stage with every full moon, in fact. So this is something that we have to look back and see if things have been done the way they should have been done. It's also a time to let go, starting into something new, start phasing out in a way of some of the old and making place for some new events. Also, it's a period of analysis. This is where we take the pulse and to see if we're on a right track, see how things have gone under this waxing moon, and are there still corrections to be made to what our original plans were.
Yeah, this would be a good time to invoke Archangel Jeremiah, in my estimation, because Archangel Jeremiah is the one who helps us conduct a life review, and
Uh-huh.
it's always a good time to do one. We don't have to wait until we croak to do a life review.
No.
Yeah.
If we can get some stuff cleared out ahead of time, why, so much the better, right?
So much the better. Exactly. So that sounds like this would be a good time to call in Archangel Jeremiah for some help with that. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
where do I need to make changes? What do I need to let go of? What has not been serving me?
this is true with every full moon, in fact.
Well, this is true.
See how things are going.
Right. Well, that's a good, very good point. Of course, the moon affecting tides, affecting water, affecting the water even in our bodies that we are mostly comprised of. This lunar eclipse on the 19th, I've heard that I need to verify, but I've heard that it's going to be the longest one in like 500 years or something like that.
That's interesting. That's because, well, it's due to the placement of the thing. First of all,
Right.
when the moon is so close, apparently it's very close to the Earth at that time. You know, the ecliptic of the moon is not perfectly round. It's a sort of an oval. And with that in mind, there are times when it's very close to relatively close to the Earth or farther away. So as this is closer to the Earth, why the passage of the sun in front that's going to cause this eclipse is going to take longer. And yeah, it should be quite a show.
I just kind of did a quick Google search and found that the longest eclipse in 580 years. So
Oh, mercy.
nearly
Well, we
600
missed that
years.
last one, didn't we?
Yeah, I think I slept through it.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Well, this is all the more reason to check this one out. When did you say the 19th of November?
Yes, 19th of November.
Yeah,
And
that's immediately.
which is, pardon?
Yeah, that's like immediately. That's
That's
wonderful.
immediately. Exactly. We're recording this on Tuesday the 16th, and that will be this Friday the 19th. So we can expect some fallout from that lunar eclipse. Anything else that we need to know about this?
Well, we just need to pray for good weather. If the storm moves through that night, it's going to be kind of too bad
That's
for
true.
any looking around. But no, that's really it. As it's not going to be touching on us very much. It's a pretty partial one, I think.
Right.
And well, I'm not sure about that. But in any case, no, we're going to consider the lunar eclipses as I said, a full moon phenomenon that is useful as every full moon is. That is to say, a sort of cleansing and taking stock
Yeah.
period.
Now, I should add too that it is coming on the first day, first evening, first afternoon of the Kansas City Metaphysical Fair, which I know we have listeners all over the world. But if you're in Kansas City or even in the area, come to the Kansas City Holiday Metaphysical Fair. It's going to be a good one. And
Ah,
we were just kind of buzzing among the vendors, but what's going to happen with this eclipse and this, this lunar event. But also this weekend, you're doing a virtual event, kind of your own personal metaphysical event, right? You're doing tarot.
well, in conjunction with your business going on there, yes, I'm offering my services for tarot reading during the metaphysical fair in Kansas City. I'll be doing these in the afternoon European time. But you can sign up. Anyone can sign up for tarot readings, half an hour tarot readings on the what do we say, the
19th and
Saturday and Sunday
yeah,
mornings there,
20th
U.S.
and
time.
21st. That's right. And I should say that this is not in conjunction with the Kansas City Metaphysical Fair because
Ah,
this fair we're not having any virtual vendors, but we wanted to you do this every so often and it coordinates with this weekend. So I would say it's a good time to get a tarot reading for Mary Jane. And of course there
well,
are
I'd be
in
happy to see you.
absolutely, and there are in-person tarot readers at the Metaphysical Fair in Kansas City. So, anyway, let's get back to what else do we need to know about Sagittarius? We've also got this event coming up December 4th,
Now this is
solar event.
somehow more interesting, actually.
Really?
It's the 4th of December is the new moon. That is also a partial eclipse, a solar eclipse. That isn't going to touch on us particularly strongly, less strongly than the one we had, well, both of them of last year that were much more pertinent. I think this one is total, what did you tell me, in Antarctica or somewhere?
Antarctica and Southern Africa.
And Southern Africa. Well, I'm going to miss that one too. But it's again with the eclipse is on a new moon, and this is definitely a time to be starting these projects, Sagittarian projects of all types. There's a lot of help. What I like about this new moon, the 4th of December, is that it's got a lovely sextile going on to Saturn. Now, Saturn always kind of helps Jupiter get organized, keep his feet on the ground,
Right.
and do the sludge work that's absolutely necessary in any new project, in any new growth experience. So Saturn's here to help you get your projects going. Sagittarius is often responsible for starting new studies, for traveling. It's wonderful for traveling as well. These projects that are going to take you out and about, exploring, research, all kinds of projects that are so tied up with Sagittarius are going to get a big help from Saturn, and you're going to feel a little less fuzzy thinking in as you get these projects going off the ground. So yeah, use it. It's going to be a very exciting time. It's difficult at the same time. That it's not always easy because the sun and Mercury are in a sort of a difficult aspect with Pluto at the same time. The moon is going to be square to Mars. So while you're planning these things, please be careful about details. Be careful about not getting your thumb stuck in the saw, this kind of thing. Accidents can happen. And so we all need to be careful as we're projecting these new ideas, getting projects off the ground. Be careful about details, and especially I was talking about getting thumbs in saws, but it's going to involve electronic equipment and electrical machines.
Ooh.
So watch where you're putting your hands and feet. That's what we can say, maybe the best.
Oh, I know. That's good counsel indeed. Wouldn't want anybody having an accident.
Yeah, we don't need that. We've got enough positive stuff going that
Right.
if we're careful about, where we're putting our hands and feet, and also careful driving, because the law is looking in and making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so, yeah, you want to lock your doors anyway, and be careful about being robbed, being in other trouble with that nature in mind.
Yeah.
It's a mixed day, but it's a good new moon start to our projects in any case.
Oh,
Just want
that's
to be careful with it.
right, 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 right. Yeah. Anything else we need to know in the coming month?
Well, I did want to hit on the second really nice day that's already here at the end of the month, the 28th of November. Uh, again, we're coming back to this Moon, Neptune, Venus, Mars hookup that looks perfectly delicious. So this is the time when you get back to that person you met on the 23rd and say, oh yeah, okay, it looks pretty good. I've been mulling over what you were telling me, and I think we can go at least this far. It's a very good sort of continuing uh, continuing feel to these initial reactions, initial meetings. That's one day, and the other one is the 30th, which is also a delightful day as far as making promises, signing contracts. Very useful with that in mind. This is when the Sun and Mercury are going to be making a very nice attitude to Saturn, again, who's the planner, who's the organizer, who's taking care of business. And at the same time, Venus is helping there to make sure that things go along in a within a friendly vein. So this is a very good day then on that's coming up on the 30th of November, where you can use that energy.
Oh, that's great.
Then we get in a little trouble as far as communication goes on the 1st of December. It's very slight, but I think it's going to be interesting. I don't remember what day that is exactly, but it's going to be an interesting time when women's issues are going to be decided, are going to be voted upon, are going to be discussed. Again, it looks like a proper time to be making good inroads as far as communication around women's issues and around children's issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rather looking forward to that, with the idea that perhaps the refugee situations that are popping up now with winter coming on in so much of the world, the refugee situation is becoming extremely serious. And there are a lot of families, children, all kinds of people in real serious trouble at the blockages of different frontiers. So with a little luck, by the 1st of December, we'll be in a good place at least to discuss these issues and try to get proper help to people who need it.
That's wonderful. Here in
Thinking
Kansas
especially
City,
about families in general,
absolutely.
but those families in particular seem
Right.
to
Here in
need some
Kansas
help.
City, we've gotten an influx of Afghani refugees,
Uh-huh.
and that is
Uh-huh.
still coming as well. Many ways to get involved and to get to help.
Right. Well, exactly. And it's just so necessary. It's time for us to pitch in. And this is the good side of Sagittarius too, is that there are a lot of helpers, a lot of caretakers involved in Sagittarius who are on the ground and are looking for ways to help. This is part of their idealistic mode of thinking, and it can be very useful this at this period. We're running into a little flack on the 5th of December, when Mercury and the still in connection with the Sun are going to be opposite the Black Moon. So again, we're coming into arguments. This is a period where all of the arguments against our best notions, our best ideas, are going to be coming to the surface, and it could be a rather noisy day with that in mind. But again, just actually the 7th of December is a very nice day to sort of calm the spirits and let again let this moon act with Venus and with Mars. Finally, there's a notion of yes, we absolutely need to do good. We absolutely need to fix these problems. There's an idea of getting out and doing things that are coming under flack again on the 8th and the 9th. So as I said, we're always just
It's just
so involved in emotions overheating our best arguments. It's a rather complicated month with that in mind.
yeah.
We get back on the same is rather true on the 12th. We get back on a better keel Actually, well, the 10th is sort of messy too on the 19th, the 15th of December, excuse me. We get back on a more even keel on the 20th of December, the last day of this period of Sagittarius, where again the sun is going to be sitting on top of or making a nice sextile with Jupiter. Somehow, after all of these arguments and this up and down kind of relationships, we're finally getting in a place where, yes, well, maybe we can act altruistically. Maybe there's a way to correct problems existing between people, problems existing between peoples, nations, civilizations, religions. We end on a better note than we began, actually. So with that in mind, we'll just have to be patient and get through all the up and down kind of nonsense going on.
Exactly. Sounds like a real roller coaster.
Well, it is, which is often the case with Sagittarius. Let's not forget that Sagittarius is also the energy that's involved with circus, fairgrounds, having fun, experience, wild experiences, extreme sports, and so on and so forth. So the roller coaster ride is sort of built in, as close as I can tell.
Right? Yeah, your book Desire and Design has some really fun images in it for Venus and Sagittarius and Mars and Sagittarius.
Oh, yes, it's always a very busy time. You know, we come back to this notion of the double sign, huh? Sagittarius is the centaur. The symbol of Sagittarius is the centaur. Now, this centaur is shooting an arrow, the famous Sagittarian arrow, into the air, up to the stars, at the same time that he's got three hooves planted in mud. So we get this notion of the ascetic, of the idealist, of the pure thinking Sagittarian, but there's also the sybaritic bon vivant. He loves to eat, he loves to party, he loves to drink, he loves to
Entertain.
live his excesses. And so both of these characters are involved in every Sagittarian birth, first of all, and in the sign where we're torn between our self indulgence and our aesthetic and generous side going out. Human beings are so damn complicated.
No kidding. Oh my God, but that's what makes us fun and
Well, absolutely.
delicious. And yes, it makes us interesting,
For sure.
right? It makes everything worth it here on this planet.
Definitely. Definitely.
Um, so is there anything else we need to discuss during this period of Sagittarius coming up? I was particularly interested in anything going retrograde during this period.
Venus is going to begin retrogradation again, or ending one. Where did I see that? That was on the, let's see, on the 20th of December. She will be retrograde and is acting as a midpoint, a sort of mediator between the sun and Pluto, among other things. So yeah, she'll be getting involved in a retrogradation then. For the rest, well, the heavy planets are going direct now. It's luckily we're getting out of this
Big planets
horrible.
being Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, maybe.
Right, right. Saturn, Jupiter as well. Saturn,
Yeah.
Neptune, Pluto are considered the heavier, slow planets, and they're all in the in the winter sky already. So actually, it's just us fast livers, Venus, Mars, that are going to Mars is in good shape. He's direct in Scorpio, but Venus and yeah, Venus is down here too. She's okay, and in Capricorn these days. So it's actually we've got a pretty good sky with that in mind, a forward moving action, except for Uranus, which is still retrograde and will be in retrograde until January, February anyway. So and is still in this ongoing argument with Saturn. We've looked at this for the last few months, and it's getting sort of tiresome, I must admit,
You know,
because there's always a check to any forward-looking progress that Uranus wants to make is always in check to this very settled, very fixed uh, Saturn energy, who represents usually all the good arguments that we're not going to get ahead. We're not going to try anything new. We're not going to take any chances, do any exploration. So this argument has been going on, well, for the last 6 months anyway, and shows no sign really of slowing down.
right,
And
right.
we'll have that to live with as well.
Wow. Fantastic. Now, I do want to mention you are gearing up for an astrology class, beginning astrology in the new year.
Yes, and it's an exciting possibility. Again, going through Radiate Wellness,
Yep.
but yeah, this one is more closely hooked up with the Radiate Wellness community. But on the Saturday, we decided to do Saturdays because it proved to be easier with the time difference that we're
Sure.
all going through. I'm here in Europe, and a lot of the people signing up are in the States. But Saturday mornings, stateside, at 9 a.m. Central, I'll be starting on January 8th, and would love to see any interested parties to come into this class that we've called Beginning Astrology, but in fact, uh, uh, more advanced students are invited in. We'll catch up. We'll all hang in there together. It's a small class. I want to do it on Zoom with a group, and yes, would love to see lots and lots of people coming in.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, if anybody is interested in studying beginning astrology with Mary Jane's been teaching this stuff for decades and has literally written a book on astrology. So, get in touch with us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.
Yeah,
Give us an email at radiatewellnesskc@gmail.com. I'll put all of that in the notes here. But we're gearing up for that class. It's taught in 10 modules, or it's taught in modules of 10 weeks. Was that accurate?
right, right,
Modules of 10 weeks, right? So
exactly.
hopefully get in at the beginning.
Would be great. There are always ways to catch up, but it is going to be a beginning class in that the first module will be vocabulary. It's going to be showing who's doing what to whom, and how to name and write down these things, how to draw up a chart, and so on. So it's good to be in on the beginning. But yeah, we can do that
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We will meet again in Capricorn.
with pleasure.
Absolutely. So,
Everyone have a good Thanksgiving in the States.
yeah, yes, happy Thanksgiving here in the States. It's coming up very, very soon. And see you in Capricorn.